The emergency alert blared through the command center of the EDS Horizon, Earth's most advanced deep space vessel. Captain Ilara Chen looked up from her datapad, her eyes narrowing as the communications officer's voice cut through the noise. "Captain, we're picking up a signal. It's not one of ours." Ilara set down her coffee and crossed the bridge in 4 swift strides. At 42, she'd spent more than half her life serving in Earth's defense fleet, but the last decade had been remarkably peaceful. First contact with the Galactic Coalition 5 years ago had introduced humanity to the vast interstellar community and to humanity's unexpected reputation. Deathworlders, they call us. Creatures evolved on a planet so harsh that most alien species considered it uninhabitable. Earth's high gravity, extreme weather patterns, atmospheric composition, and abundance of predators had forged humans into something the galaxy found both fascinating and terrifying. "Source?" Ilara asked, leaning over Communications Officer Patel's station. "Unknown, Captain. It's coming from the Vale Nebula region, approximately 4.2 light-years beyond Coalition territory." Patel's fingers danced across the holographic interface. "It's definitely a distress signal, but the encoding is like nothing in our database." Ilara studied the signal pattern. "How long has it been broadcasting?" "Based on degradation, I'd estimate 3 weeks, maybe 4. 3 weeks. Whatever sent this call for help had been waiting all that time, perhaps believing no one would come." Ilara straightened up. "Alert Earth Command. I want a full analysis of that signal within the hour." The Horizon's conference room buzzed with tension as Admiral Takashi appeared on the main view screen, his weathered face tight with concern. "Captain Chen, the Coalition ambassadors are advising against intervention. The signal originates from the dark sectors, uncharted space beyond their established territories." Ilara frowned. "With respect, Admiral, if someone needs help." "The Coalition representatives were quite clear," Takashi interrupted. "They say the dark sectors are avoided for good reasons." "There are stories." "Stories don't send distress signals," Ilara countered. "People do, or at least sentient beings do." Admiral Takashi sighed, looking suddenly older. "Dr. Okafor's team has partially decrypted the signal. It appears to be from a species calling themselves the Luminary. They're unknown to the Coalition." On a secondary screen, Dr. Aisha Okafor, Earth's leading xenolinguist, nodded. "The translation is rough, but they're describing a critical ship failure and multiple casualties. They're stranded with failing life support." "We can't just leave them out there," Ilara said quietly. A moment of silence stretched between them before Admiral Takashi nodded. "You're right. This is exactly what the Horizon was built for." His expression softened slightly. "The Coalition members may see us as dangerous Deathworlders, but they'll learn that also means we don't abandon those in need." He straightened, his decision made. "Captain Chen, you have authorization to proceed with a rescue mission. Select your team carefully. You'll be heading into completely unknown territory." Ilara felt a rush of pride. "Yes, sir." The Horizon wasn't going alone. 2 smaller vessels would accompany them. The EDS Pathfinder, a scout ship specializing in reconnaissance, and the EDS Sanctuary, a medical and evacuation vessel designed specifically for interspecies aid. In the ship's gymnasium, Commander Jackson Wei ran his team through one final drill. 20 elite Marines moved with practiced precision, adapting their rescue protocols for potential non-humanoid body types. "Remember," Wei called out, "we don't know what environment the Luminary require. Full containment protocols at all times. Every second counts, but safety first." Ilara watched from the observation deck, impressed as always by Wei's leadership. They'd served together for 7 years, and there was no one she trusted more in a crisis. "They look ready," said a voice behind her. Ilara turned to find Dr. Rohan Mehta, the mission's chief xenobiologist, studying the Marines with analytical eyes. "They are," Ilara confirmed. "How's your team?" Mehta ran a hand through his graying hair. as ready as we can be without knowing what species we're rescuing. The sanctuary is equipped with adaptable life support systems that can handle nearly any atmospheric requirement. But, he shrugged, we're heading into the unknown. That's what humans do best, Ilara said with a slight smile. We explore, we adapt, we help. Meta raised an eyebrow. The coalition species think we're crazy for it. Maybe that's why we're the ones answering this call when no one else would. The journey to the Veil Nebula took 11 days at maximum safe speed. As they crossed beyond coalition territory, the familiar star patterns gave way to the unmapped expanse of the dark sectors. The crew grew quieter, more focused. Even the ship's AI seemed to run its routines with greater caution. On the 10th day, they encountered their first anomaly. Captain to the bridge, the AI announced, its synthetic voice cutting through Ilara's light sleep. She was fully alert in seconds, making her way to the command center where Lieutenant Carla Diaz, the ship's sensor specialist, stood anxiously at her station. Report, Ilara ordered, noting the unusual readings on the main display. We've detected what appears to be a spatial distortion directly ahead, Diaz explained. It's unlike anything in our database, almost like a tear in space-time. On the view screen, the darkness of space seemed to ripple and fold in upon itself, creating a slowly undulating barrier across their path. Can we go around it? Ilara asked. Chief Navigator Park shook his head. It extends for at least 4.8 light-years in both directions. Going around would add days to our journey. Days the luminary might not have. Analyses. Ilara looked to her science team. Dr. Mehta studied the readings with fascination. It's not a black hole or any known gravitational phenomenon. Energy readings suggest it might be artificial. A defense system. Commander Wei asked, his hand instinctively moving toward the weapons control. Or a naturally occurring boundary. Dr. Okafor suggested. Many ancient Earth cultures believed in boundaries between worlds. Perhaps this is the cosmic equivalent. Ilara considered their options. If it's artificial, there might be a way to communicate with it or signal our intentions. She turned to Dr. Okafor. Could we adapt the luminary distress signal? Show whatever's out there that we're responding to a call for help. The xenolinguist nodded slowly. It's worth trying. For 6 hours, they transmitted modified versions of the luminary signal toward the spatial barrier. The distortion remained unchanged, rippling silently before them like a cosmic curtain. No response, Diaz reported wearily. Ilara stared at the phenomenon. Earth physicists would study this for decades if they had the chance, but right now it was simply an obstacle between them and people who needed help. Prepare to approach at minimal thrusters, she ordered. All non-essential systems on standby. If anything, and I mean anything, changes, we reverse course immediately. The bridge crew exchanged nervous glances, but moved to their stations with professional efficiency. The horizon inched forward, the Pathfinder and Sanctuary holding position behind them. As they approached the edge of the distortion, the ship's systems began to fluctuate, power levels dropping and surging unpredictably. Hull integrity holding, reported engineering. But I don't like what this is doing to our power grid. Ilara gripped the arms of her command chair. Steady approach. All personnel, brace for potential turbulence. The view screen showed the distortion growing larger until it filled their view entirely, a wall of warped space that seemed to bend light itself around its edges. Contact in 3, 2, 1. The horizon shuddered as it made contact with the barrier. For one heart-stopping moment, every system on the ship went dark. Then, with a final violent shake, they were through, systems restarting one by one as the crew recovered. Status report. Ilara called out. All systems returning to normal. Engineering responded. Minor damage to external sensors, but otherwise we're intact. The Pathfinder and Sanctuary are also through, Diaz added. They report similar temporary systems failure, but are operational. Ilara allowed herself a small breath of relief. Dr. Mehta, any theories about what we just experienced? The scientist was already analyzing the data. It appears to be some kind of phase barrier, almost like passing between dimensions. The energy variance suggests it might be designed to keep certain types of technology out, or in, a quarantine. Commander Wee suggested grimly. Let's not jump to conclusions, Ilara cautioned. Our priority remains the luminary. How far to the source of the distress signal? Approximately 6 hours at standard speed, Park reported. Ilara nodded. Proceed. And let's hope whatever we just passed through doesn't make our return journey any more complicated. The luminary vessel came into view exactly as predicted, but nothing could have prepared them for its appearance. Unlike the utilitarian designs of Earth ships or the sleek organic forms favored by the Coalition, this craft resembled a massive crystalline structure, like a snowflake formed in zero gravity, its translucent arms extending outward from a central hub that pulsed with fading light. It's beautiful, Dr. Okafor whispered. And badly damaged, Commander Wee noted, pointing to the jagged fractures running along 2 of the arms. Look at the structural integrity readings. Ilara studied the scan results with growing concern. Life signs. Confirmed, Diaz reported with relief. Multiple readings clustered in the central hub, but they're weak and becoming weaker. Atmosphere. Dr. Mehta frowned at his readings. Highly unusual. The vessel contains what appears to be a gaseous medium rich in crystalline particles suspended in a photonic field. Temperature is extremely low by our standards, approximately 100 Kelvin. Can we dock with it? Ilara asked. Chief Engineer Malik examined the alien ship structure. There's what looks like an access point on the ventral surface. We could establish a sealed corridor, but our standard airlocks won't be compatible. Then we adapt, Ilara said firmly. How quickly can you fabricate a compatible connection? 2 hours, maybe less if we redirect power from non-essential systems. Do it, Ilara ordered. Dr. Mehta, prepare environmental suits rated for extreme cold. Commander Wei, select your boarding team. I want our best technical specialists and first contact experts. As the crew moved with purpose, Ilara gazed at the alien vessel. What kind of beings created such a magnificent craft? How had they ended up stranded here, beyond the boundaries of known space? And most importantly, were they still alive to be rescued? She was about to find out. The docking procedure was delicate work. Even with the newly fabricated adapter, establishing a secure connection between the horizon and the crystalline vessel required precision that tested the limits of human engineering. Meanwhile, probes sent by the Pathfinder circled the damaged craft, mapping its structure and searching for any additional hazards. Connection established, Engineer Malik reported finally. Pressure seal is holding, but the temperature differential is extreme. We've installed thermal barriers, but anyone going across will need the enhanced cold weather gear. Ilara nodded. Commander Wei, status of the boarding team. Ready, Captain. Wei stood at the airlock entrance, already dressed in his environmental suit. Beside him, 5 specialists waited in similar gear, thicker and more heavily insulated than standard spacesuits, with enhanced heating elements and reinforced joints. Dr. Okafor made final adjustments to her universal translator. I've programmed every variant of the luminary language we've been able to extract from their distress signal. If they communicate using sound or light patterns, we should be able to establish basic understanding. Remember, Ilara addressed the team. Our primary mission is rescue. We assess the situation, establish contact, and determine the most efficient way to evacuate survivors to the sanctuary. Questions? There were none. Each member of the team was among the best Earth had to offer, trained specifically for first contact and emergency response situations. Then proceed, and good luck. Ilara watched from the control room as the team moved through the specially constructed corridor toward the alien craft. Even through the insulated connection, the difference in environments was visible. frost immediately forming on the outer layer of their suits as they approached the luminary vessel. "Team has reached the entry point," Wei reported. "There appears to be some kind of crystalline barrier, possibly a doorway or airlock." Dr. Okafor stepped forward, activating a device that projected light patterns based on the luminary distress signal. For several tense moments, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the crystalline surface began to shift, molecules rearranging themselves to create an opening. "We have access," Wei confirmed. Moving inside, the team's helmet cameras transmitted their view back to the horizon. The interior of the luminary vessel was even more striking than its exterior. Corridors formed of the same crystalline material that seemed to glow from within, creating patterns of light that flowed like water along the walls. "Temperature holding at approximately 110 Kelvin, reported Dr. Mehta, monitoring the team's environmental readings. "Atmosphere contains high concentrations of what appears to be suspended crystalline particles in a helium-based medium." "Life signs?" Ilara asked. "Stronger now, approximately 20 meters ahead, in what appears to be a central chamber." Wei led the team carefully through the alien corridors, their movements slowed by the need to adapt to the unusual gravity and structure of the vessel. Finally, they reached a massive chamber where the flowing light patterns converged from all directions. And there, floating in the center of the room, were the luminary. They weren't at all what the humans expected. The luminary resembled living constellations, crystalline structures suspended in midair, each one glowing with an inner light that pulsed in rhythmic patterns. Their bodies, if they could be called that, were composed of interconnected geometric shapes that shifted and reconfigured as they moved. No obvious sensory organs, no limbs in the conventional sense. They were utterly alien. And they were dying. Even to human eyes untrained in luminary biology, it was clear. Several of the beings had drastically dimmed light patterns, their crystalline structures showing fractures and irregularities. Others appeared to be maintaining a protective formation around the weakest members. "Dr. Okafor," Wei whispered, his voice carrying through the comm system. "Can you attempt communication?" The xenolinguist stepped forward, activating her translation device. It projected a complex pattern of light pulses based on the fragments they decoded from the distress signal. The effect was immediate. The luminary closest to the human team brightened perceptibly, their geometric forms reconfiguring into new patterns. A response came in the form of synchronized light pulses that the translator struggled to interpret. After several attempts, broken words began to form in the team's earpieces. "Unexpected. Health comes. Death world beings." Dr. Okafor modified the translator's parameters. "Yes, we are humans from Earth. We received your distress signal and came to help." The light patterns intensified, the translation becoming clearer. "Humans, we know this designation. Coalition species categorize. Extreme danger. Deathworlders." Wei stepped forward. "We're here to rescue you, not harm you. Your ship is critically damaged. How can we help?" The luminary's geometric pattern shifted into what might have been confusion. "You crossed the veil. No species crosses willingly." "We detected your distress call," Dr. Mehta explained. "Our mission is to provide assistance to those in need, regardless of location or species." There was a pause as the luminary communicated among themselves in rapid light pulses too complex for the translator to follow. Finally, the lead luminary, its crystalline structure more elaborate than the others, addressed them again. "I am Harmony of Light, Chief Researcher. Our vessel suffered catastrophic damage during research expedition. Primary systems failing. Light-sustaining environment degrading. Many researchers already returned to the cosmic lattice." Dr. Mehta consulted his readings. "The temperature in this chamber is rising, and the crystalline particle density is decreasing. I believe their equivalent of life support is failing." We nodded. "Harmony of Light, we have a medical vessel prepared to transport survivors. Can your people survive in an adapted environment?" The luminary's light pulsed rapidly. "Possible. require extreme cold, require specific light wavelengths, require crystalline suspension medium. We can create that environment temporarily, Dr. Mehta assured them, but we need to act quickly. How many survivors require evacuation? 23 remain functional. 7 critically degraded. As they spoke, Dr. Mehta was already transmitting specifications to the sanctuary, where preparation for the specialized environment would begin immediately. Engineer Malik was calculating the logistics of moving beings made of light and crystal through a passageway designed for humanoids. Then, abruptly, every light in the luminary vessel flickered. What was that? We demanded. Harmony of Light's crystalline form contracted in what might have been fear. They have found us again. Your arrival may have drawn their attention. Who? Ilara cut in through the comm system. What's approaching your vessel? The reason we hide behind the veil. The reason we study in secret. The luminary's light patterns became erratic. The Devourers. Almost immediately, alarms sounded on the horizon's bridge. Lieutenant Diaz's voice was tense as she reported. Captain, we're detecting 3 objects approaching at high velocity. They're unlike anything in our database. Massive energy signatures, no recognizable propulsion system. On the view screen, 3 dark shapes emerged from the depths of space, each one a writhing mass of tendrils surrounding a central maw that pulsed with sickly green light. They moved with predatory precision, on a direct course for the damaged luminary vessel. The Pathfinder is scanning them now, Diaz continued. Preliminary readings suggest they're at least partially organic, but with technology integrated into their bodies. Ilara's mind raced through tactical options. Get the boarding team back immediately. Prepare the sanctuary for emergency evacuation procedures. But Commander Wei's response came back grim. Captain, the luminary can't move quickly enough. These Devourers will reach us before we can complete evacuation through standard procedures. Inside the crystal ship, Harmony of Light was projecting images for the human team, showing the Devourers attacking luminary research vessels, absorbing both crew and ship material into their maws, growing stronger with each consumption. They feed on energy, the luminary explained. Our crystalline forms are particularly nourishing to them. We crossed the veil to study in safety, but they found us. Our engines failed during escape attempt. Dr. Mehta studied the images with growing horror. Their apex predators evolved to feed on energy-based life forms, he theorized. The luminary must seem like a feast to them. Wei made a quick decision. Dr. Okafor, stay with the luminary and keep communicating. Dr. Mehta, we need a way to transport all survivors at once. Conventional methods will take too long. Ilara's voice came through the comm. Commander, the Devourers will reach your position in approximately 20 minutes. The Horizon's weapons are armed, but we don't know if they'll be effective against these entities. 20 minutes to evacuate beings made of crystal and light, who required environments humans could barely survive in, while space predators closed in for the kill. Just another day for Deathworlders. Humans had evolved on a world that tried to kill them daily. Extreme temperatures, natural disasters, predators, disease. Earth had thrown everything at its dominant species, and humans had not just survived but thrived. That evolutionary heritage now surfaced in the rapid problem-solving of the rescue team. We can't move them through our corridors quickly enough, Engineer Malik stated, examining the structural schematics of both vessels. But what if we don't need to? Explain, Ilara demanded. The luminary ship's central hub, where the survivors are gathered. It's essentially one large crystal chamber. If we could detach it from the damaged arms, we could tow the entire chamber to the sanctuary. Wei finished. The sanctuary's cargo bay could be converted to maintain their environment. Dr. Mehta was already calculating. We'd need to create a temporary containment field to preserve their atmosphere during transfer, and we'd need to cut through their ship's structure precisely. I've got something that might work, Wei said. From his utility pack, he removed what looked like a small metal disc, molecular dissection charge. designed for precision cutting in vacuum environments. Ilara considered the plan. Risky, untested, with a dozen ways it could go catastrophically wrong. But the alternatives were worse. "Do it," she ordered. "Pathfinder will provide cover while you work. The Horizon will engage the Devourers if necessary." As the team raced to implement their plan, Harmony of Light communicated with the other luminary, preparing them for what was to come. The weakest were moved to the center of the group, where the strongest could form a protective lattice around them. We and Engineer Malik worked with inhuman speed, placing molecular charges at key structural points where the central hub connected to the damaged arms. The luminaries' unusual architecture actually made the separation easier. Their ship designed with modular components that could theoretically detach if needed. "Charges set," Way reported. "Detonation in 30 seconds. On the Horizon's bridge, Ilara watched the approaching Devourers with growing concern. They had accelerated, as if sensing that their prey was about to escape. 15 kilometers and closing, Dias reported. "They'll be in weapons range in 2 minutes. Arm forward pulse cannons," Ilara ordered. "Target the lead entity." The countdown reached 0. With surgical precision, the charges detonated in sequence, sending ripples through the crystalline structure, but causing no explosive decompression. The central hub separated cleanly from its damaged arms, now floating free in space. "Sanctuary. Lock tractor beams now," Ilara commanded. The medical vessel moved into position, engulfing the luminary chamber in blue-white energy fields that gently pulled it toward the specially modified cargo bay. It was working. The rescue was underway. Then the first Devourer attacked. Its tendrils extended with shocking speed, wrapping around the Pathfinder before anyone could react. The scout ship's engines flared as it tried to break free, but the creature's grip only tightened. Green energy began to pulse from the tendrils into the Devourer's maw as it started to feed on the ship's power systems. "Pathfinder is losing power," Dias reported. "Shields failing." Ilara had seen enough. Fire at will. The Horizon's pulse cannons released concentrated bursts of energy directly at the attacking Devourer. The entity recoiled momentarily, its tendrils loosening just enough for the Pathfinder to break free and retreat to a safe distance. But the attack had another, unexpected effect. The Devourer seemed to grow after absorbing the energy from the weapon's fire, its central maw expanding as it turned its attention to the much larger energy source, the Horizon itself. "Conventional weapons are ineffective," Way observed from his position with the luminary. "They feed on energy. Our weapons are just making them stronger." Harmony of Light pulsed frantically. "Your powerful ships will only nourish them more. They will not stop. They cannot be reasoned with." The situation was deteriorating rapidly. The Sanctuary was still maneuvering the luminary chamber into its cargo bay, a process that would take at least another 4 minutes. The other 2 Devourers had now joined the first, all 3 converging on the human fleet with predatory focus. Then Dr. Mehta had an idea. "Captain," he called over the comm. "The luminary ship's damaged arms. They still contain residual energy, correct?" "Yes," Ilara confirmed, "but not enough to sustain the survivors." "But enough to attract predators," Mehta suggested. "These creatures evolved to hunt energy-based life forms. What if we gave them an easier meal?" Understanding dawned on Ilara's face. "Tactical. Can we rig the separated arms of the luminary vessel to overload their remaining power systems?" "Affirmative," came the response. "But we'd need to remain within range to trigger the detonation remotely." It was a desperate plan, using the discarded portions of the luminary ship as bait, creating an energy surge that would attract the Devourers, then detonating it while they fed. The explosion wouldn't destroy creatures evolved to consume energy, but it might incapacitate them long enough for the fleet to escape. "Calculate minimum safe distance for our vessels," Ilara ordered. "Commander Way, how much longer until all luminary are secure?" 2 minutes to complete transfer, another 2 to seal the cargo bay and establish stable life support. Ilara made her decision. Proceed with the plan. Tactical, prepare the detonation sequence. Pathfinder, maintain position behind the horizon. We'll provide cover until the sanctuary completes transfer. The Devourers were now less than 2 kilometers away, their tendrils extending hungrily toward the human ships. The horizon positioned itself between the predators and the vulnerable sanctuary, its shields at maximum power. Luminary chamber secure, the sanctuary reported finally. Environmental systems online and stable. Fall back to minimum safe distance, Ilara ordered. Prepare for emergency jump as soon as detonation is complete. As the sanctuary retreated with its precious cargo, the first Devourer made contact with the horizon's shields. The energy barrier flared brilliant blue as tendrils probed for weaknesses, sending power fluctuations cascading through the ship's systems. Shields at 67% and dropping, engineering reported. They're draining us faster than we can compensate. Hold position, Ilara commanded. Tactical, status on the detonation. Ready on your mark, Captain. The horizon shuddered as a second Devourer joined the attack, its tendrils wrapping around the ship's stern. Warning lights flashed across the bridge as power levels dropped precipitously. Now, Ilara ordered. The discarded arms of the luminary vessel suddenly blazed with light as their power cores overloaded. The effect on the Devourers was immediate. All 3 creatures released the horizon and turned toward the more tempting energy source. They've taken the bait, Dias confirmed. All 3 Devourers moving to intercept. Withdraw to safe distance. Maximum thrust, Ilara commanded. The horizon pulled away as the predators converged on the glowing crystal arms. When they were fully engaged, tendrils embedded deep in the structure, Ilara gave the final order. Detonate. The explosion was unlike anything the human crews had ever witnessed. Not a fiery blast, but an implosion of light that seemed to bend space itself around it. The Devourers were caught in the center, their forms contorting as the energy they sought to consume turned destructive. Jump now, Ilara ordered. The 3 human vessels activated their faster-than-light drives simultaneously, leaving behind the disoriented predators and the remnants of the luminary research ship. The return journey through the spatial distortion, the veil as the luminary called it, proved less traumatic than their initial crossing. Perhaps it was the presence of the luminary themselves, or perhaps the barrier recognized them as returning rather than intruding. Once safely back in known space, the fleet set course for the nearest Earth outpost, maintaining constant communication with the luminary survivors. Their unusual biology presented unique challenges, but Dr. Mehta's team worked tirelessly to ensure their environment remained stable. Harmony of Light requested a meeting with Captain Chen before they reached their destination. The luminary leader's crystalline form had regained much of its luminescence during the journey, the fractures healing as its energy patterns stabilized. Your species risked extinction to save beings unknown to you, the luminary observed, its translated voice filled with what might have been wonder. The Coalition speaks of Deathworlders with fear, yet they did not answer our call. Ilara smiled slightly. Humans have a saying. The true measure of a society is found in how it treats those in need. This wisdom does not come from comfort, Harmony of Light replied. It comes from struggle, from a world that taught hard lessons. Perhaps, Ilara acknowledged, Earth shaped us in ways we're still discovering, but I believe any sentient species would have done the same. The luminary's light patterns shifted into what Dr. Okafor had come to recognize as their equivalent of disagreement. Not all would. Not all did. Its form reconfigured into a more formal configuration. The luminary high lattice will want to express gratitude formally. Our kind rarely ventures beyond the veil, but perhaps that should change. Your people would be welcome in Earth space, Ilara assured them, and I suspect your knowledge would be invaluable to both our scientists and the Coalition. Knowledge is why we explore, despite dangers. Why we study. The luminary pulsed with increasing intensity. We have much to teach about energy manipulation, photonic computing, crystalline technologies. Much to learn about adaptation, resilience, creative problem-solving, Deathworlder traits. The implications weren't lost on Ilara. Earth was still finding its place in the galactic community, often viewed with caution by the coalition species who had evolved in more forgiving environments. An alliance with the reclusive but technologically advanced luminary could change humanity's standing significantly. I look forward to the beginning of our cooperation, Ilara said. Harmony of light's form shifted once more, light patterns flowing into a configuration the translator interpreted as formal agreement. As do we, Captain Chen of Earth. Deathworlders you may be, but we have seen that this makes you not monsters, but heroes. 3 months later, Earth Command Headquarters hosted a historic gathering. Representatives from 12 coalition species stood alongside human diplomats as a luminary delegation emerged from their specially constructed environmental chamber. Admiral Takashi, now flanked by Captain Chen and her senior officers, stepped forward to formally greet Harmony of Light and the surviving research team. Behind them, a massive viewscreen displayed the newly established Joint Research Station positioned at the edge of the Veil, a collaborative project between Earth Sciences and luminary researchers. Who would have thought, Dr. Mehta murmured to Commander Wei, that answering a distress call would lead to this. Wei watched as Harmony of Light's crystalline form shifted into the elaborate pattern that represented formal alliance. It's what humans do, he replied simply. We help, and sometimes the universe notices. In the years that followed, the term Deathworlder evolved in meaning throughout the galaxy. It still described the harsh planet that had forged humanity, but now carried with it a new understanding. Those who survive the impossible become capable of achieving the impossible. And sometimes that means crossing barriers no one else would cross, to save those no one else would save. The signal had been weak, a fading hope in the vastness of space, but it had reached the right species, one whose evolutionary crucible had forged not just physical resilience, but compassion strong enough to overcome fear of the unknown. That was humanity's true strength, not that they had survived their deadly homeworld, but that they had emerged from it determined to ensure others survived too. Deathworlders, yes, but life-bringers as well.